everybody, Pastor Joshua here. As you can tell, I'm just hanging out in the hammock here in the yard. Sorry if you get a little dizzy. Um, just realized it's kind of rocking. But hope you're all doing well. Hope everybody is enjoying your time at home. I know it's different. I'm praying for you guys. Be sure to send me any prayer requests that you have. I do want to encourage you to take time to pray for those who are still working. We're thankful for those that are still working in restaurants and grocery stores, especially our nurses, those who are taking care of the sick and are taking a chance of exposing themselves to the virus. You know, nowadays it's a little different. But yeah, take time to pray for those. Pray for those that are out of a job right now. And are dependent upon unemployment or just don't have any income coming in. Keep your ear out. Be helpful to a neighbor if you can. Make sure that they have what they need. If there's any elders that need stuff done around their yard, talk to them. They may not want to come out, but offer to help people. We can still do those things. And keep your distance. Be respectful. Listen to your parents. What their wishes are for you. But I do want to share a story with you guys today, and it is the story of Daniel in the lion's den. And I know you're thinking, I've heard that before, and that's great, that's wonderful. I'm glad if you have, but I also don't want you to think that hearing those types of stories is just for little kids. You think about Daniel in the lion's den, you think about Jonah in the well, and things like that. And so I don't want you to think that those Old Testament stories are just good stories for little kids, but they're stories for us as young adults and adults. And so if you want to take the time to read the story yourself, it's in Daniel chapter 6. But I just want to go through it, and then I have a verse I really want to share with you guys. And I hope you're having a wonderful day. But basically, the time period, King Darius is in charge of the land. And Daniel is kind of like his right-hand man. He's kind of, a government official, you would say. But because Daniel is so good at what he does, and because he's so trustworthy and so honest, he's getting ready to be promoted. And Darius he loves Daniel, and he promotes him to second in command. Basically, nobody is going to be over Daniel except for Darius, King Darius. And so that made some of the other officials kind of upset. They kind of got jealous. They didn't like that. And so they tried to, look at Daniel and see if they could find fault in something he did. Maybe he stole something, or maybe he just was doing something wrong. And they couldn't. He was just too good of a guy. He was doing the right thing all the time, and he was making good decisions. And so they couldn't find any fault in him. But they knew that he was a very godly man, and they knew that he trusted God and went after God and prayed. And so they come up with this idea to go to King Darius, and basically kind of throw Daniel under a bus, if you will, per se, or under a chariot for that time period. But they go to King Darius, and they have him make a law that for the next 30 days, no one could worship anything but King Darius. They couldn't worship their God. They couldn't pray to their God. The only thing they could do for that 30 days was pray and worship King Darius. And so, when Daniel heard that, he continued to do his thing, and he would go up into his home, and of course his windows were open, and he would pray 3 times a day. He did not hide his faith. He did not hide who he trusted. And so when these guys saw that he was doing it, they immediately went to the king and reminded him of the law that he had made. And of course, this upset the king very much so, because he really liked Daniel and he cared for him a lot. And so it upset him, and he spent the afternoon trying to find a way to figure it out. But unfortunately, because he made the law, he had to keep to the law. And they brought Daniel forward. They threw him in the lion's den. And that night, the king goes home. He can't sleep. He can't eat. Nothing can be done. He's thinking about Daniel. And immediately at the next day, at the crack of dawn, Darius gets up and he goes to the lion's den. and they remove the rock, and he calls out to Daniel, and Daniel's alive. And he tells him that his God has sent an angel to be with him and to shut the lion's mouth. And they pull Daniel out. He doesn't have a scratch on him. And Darius is overjoyed. He's excited. He's thankful that Daniel is still alive and that God has saved him from the lions. He even goes on to say there is a new law that you can only praise and worship and pray to the God that Daniel serves, which is the true God. But what I think is really cool here with this story is the idea that, we get things thrown at us. Obviously we're all at home right now, and we're not getting to go to church. We're not getting to go to school and see our friends, do the things that we're used to doing. We're being asked to kind of compromise what we're used to. And that's what this law that Darius created was doing. It was asking the people and asking Daniel to compromise his faith and trust in God, just for 30 days. And you might not think, oh, that's not a big deal. Like, I can shut my door, I can go in the bathroom, and I can pray. But it was a big deal. Daniel wasn't going to be like that. He wasn't going to compromise his faith. He wasn't going to compromise who he was and who he trusted, which was God. And so, and we do that. We have the opportunity to do that. But God, God doesn't want us to. And his word says, and this is the verse I want to share with you guys. It's in 1 Corinthians verse 15:58. It says, "Therefore, my dear brothers and sisters, stand firm. Let nothing move you. Always give yourself fully to the work of the Lord, because you know that your labor in the Lord is not in vain." And so, with that being said, that was Daniel's mindset. He knew that whatever he did, if he trusted God, it wasn't going to be pointless. It wasn't going to be worthless. And in Daniel's case, the entire kingdom that Darius was over now knew who God was, or at least they knew and heard of God. They may not have chosen to follow him, but they did hear the truth. They heard about the one true God. And that's what I want to encourage you today is if you are at home, there's not a lot that you can do, but you can still interact with your friends. You can still ask them if they have prayer requests. You can still message them. You can still encourage them by, calling them. Maybe having a Bible study together with one or two of your friends. You guys can FaceTime each other and do that. And I want to encourage you to do so. But I also want to encourage you to reach out to those classmates that maybe you didn't talk to a lot. Check on them. See how they're doing. Let them know that you're praying for them. And then actually pray for them. Don't just say that you're doing it. So, guys, I'd love to hear from you. Send me a prayer request. I miss you guys. I miss being at the youth house. I miss hanging out with y'all. I miss coming to the high school and watching ball games and doing the things that we're used to doing. I hate that we're having to cancel things, but God's got a plan, and we're going to trust him. And I can't wait till we get back. We're going to have a great time. We're going to have a big to-do when we get back to the youth house one of these days. So, love you guys. Can't wait to see you. Have a great day.